Okay, I did my professional technology learning plan on blended and flipped learning because after we researched and did our flipped videos for our own lesson, um, I just really liked it and liked using it and wanted to learn more about it and how to effectively implement it into my classroom. And I also wanted to know the difference between blended and flipped learning because we hadn't really touched on that a whole lot in class. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay, so my research question is what is blended and flipped learning and how can teachers effectively incorporate it into the classroom? And for my goal, I will explore the differences and similarities of blended and flipped learning and ways of implementing these mixed mode courses into my classroom. So we're first going to talk about blended learning. So I used a couple different websites. One was eLearning Industry, and I have the bibliography at the end on a slide so you can see all my research. But blended learning or eLearning Industry, and then also blended.online.ucf.edu to kind of get a couple different sources uh, and look at a meta-analysis of blended learning. So basically, I found that blended learning involves online and face-to-face instruction and activity. They're used alongside each other to provide a comprehensive learning experience. So this is different than flipped classroom because it's a little bit tailored to each teacher and their specific classroom. And it's not just watch a video before class and come in and go more at length in the content that you learned on the video. It's actually using lots of different resources, technology you may or may not have in the classroom, and it's tailored to specific content, students, and types of research that you have. So, for instance, if I was teaching a lesson about evolution, I might find that it's really good to use like a Blend or an Edpuzzle as supplementary content to a lecture or an activity in class. So for flipped learning, this is actually more clear-cut than blended. So teachers typically use an online video or a learning experience that the students watch before class so that more immersive and extended learning can take place in class the next day. So if I'll use evolution as an example. I gave students a short 5 to 15 minute video about maybe introduction to evolution, some key terms like natural selection and stuff like that. And then we could actually do more of hands-on activities in class so you don't have to waste time learning the lecture because they already learned all of those keywords and stuff beforehand. You don't want to make the videos too long because you don't want to overload or bore the students. And you want to make sure it's really just hitting the content that you would rather not have to teach in class so they can have more activities and you could just be kind of more of the facilitator and coach. So teachers, this is kind of the turning point for teachers to, instead of being the sage on the stage, they become more of a guide on the side in class. So for implementation, all these websites were kind of saying the same things about the importance and the must-dos if you want to incorporate blended and flipped learning into the classroom. They involve lots of careful preparation and strategic design. So you can't just upload a video of yourself talking about something and expect the students to learn it because you have to be very careful in what content and subject choices you choose for blended and flipped learning. I read on an Edutopia, blended learning, making it work in your classroom, and PK Yang said that it's in his classroom, he tends to only use flipped learning for certain topics, and so he's not doing a flipped video for every single thing he teaches. It's really more of how he thinks his students would learn best. So he flips his classroom on topics that require more depth because then he can go into more detail in his lessons, and it's better for students who maybe want to pause and rewind for clarification on those difficult subjects. So he tends to do it for subjects that might be more difficult to learn and might have a lot of intricate details and stuff like that. It's really important that you make sure as a teacher, you make sure that the technology you incorporate into blended or flipped learning hits the high levels of SAM, or modification and redefinition, and they aren't just substitution to make your life easier, because the technology is to differentiate the instruction to make it, to provide a more of effective learning experience for these kids. So you want to carefully prepare lessons using these mixed mode courses to really enhance the learning. You want to ensure consistent sharing of feedback from students and observe their project, and teachers really need to be trained extensively on how to blend and flip their classrooms to make it meaningful and effective, so they're not just thrown into it. So some advantages of this are they provide differentiated instruction for all learners, so kids with learning disabilities, multiple intelligence theory. This was really helpful for kids who are auditory or visual learners, so they can stop and rewind the videos and use supplemental resources. And it really gives an innovative, up-to-date 21st century learning experience, because so much of our world now is technological. And so this gives kids the ability to really use and apply these technologies into things they'll be using in the real world and higher education and the workforce. It's a really good supplement for remediation and enrichment for learners, and provides student collaboration and text-to-world connections via exploration of the content. So in my specific classroom, I'm definitely going to apply both blended and flipped learning, because I think they're really, really good resources and ways to differentiate the instruction and provide really cool, meaningful, fun, engaging learning experiences and lessons. I think it's especially good for substitutes. Like, I probably provide flipped videos for when I have a substitute, so I can keep the learning going and they're not just, given a worksheet for busy work that day. Really good for enrichment for early finishers, doing research projects, online discussions. We can do online labs, because I want to be a science teacher. If we don't have access to certain labs that I want to do, like a Drosophila lab or a human cheek cell lab, we can substitute this by doing online labs. Supplement for difficult content, like I said, we can use it for Socratic seminars in class, so that we can spend the whole class time having a student-led discussion, as opposed to having to start with a lecture and then having a shorter seminar, and lots more things I can do. I want to give students the opportunity to take control of their own learning and be independent learners. And I think blended and flipped classrooms really enrich this experience for them. I do want to learn more, maybe even take another course, because I want to be extensively trained in this so that I can effectively use blended and flipped learning in my classroom and learn about new strategies to provide an effective technological learning experience for my kids. And this is my bibliography. And that's the end.